In somewhat of a surprise, Ron Paul won the straw man poll at CPAC last week. He has said about the United States foreign policy, "I believe our founding fathers had it right when they argued for peace and commerce between nations and against entangling political and military alliances." In other words, non-interventionism. And one of your heroes, Thomas Jefferson, insisted on entangling alliances with no one. How would you respond now to Jefferson and Paul, and do you think Jefferson would have a different stance if he were alive today?
No, I'm with Jefferson on that, though not with Mr. Paul, or what I imagine his interpretation of that would be, because Jefferson was anything but an isolationist. Jefferson actually believed the United States should be an empire. It didn't have the connotations it does then. Doubled the size of the United States by dealing with the French. Would have made Cuba part of the US along with Florida. Hope for that to happen one day. Don't know what Mr. Paul would have said about that.
Just one question for you. When you talk about foreign policy, there are many who think that your view is not constitutional, but rather isolationist. Is there a difference in there, and how would you describe that to them?
No, I'm a free trader. I want people to travel, trade, and be very engaged in the world. That's quite a bit different. Isolation is when you have tariffs and barriers. The people who argue so much for free trade and all these trade agreements, which I disagree with, are the ones who are first to put on these sanctions. Right. Like sanctions on Cuba. I'm a free trader. I want to be in and out of Cuba. I want you to be able to travel. So that's hardly isolationism.
In the past, I've called you an isolationist, and I get hammered by your supporters out there when they write to me and they say, Ron Paul is not an isolationist, he's a non-interventionist. All right, tell our viewers right now, once and for all, the difference between an isolationist and a non-interventionist.
An isolationist is a protectionist that builds walls around the country. They don't like to trade, they don't like to travel about the world, and they like to put sanctions on different countries. So some of the people who call me that are actually much more in favor of sanctions and limited trade. They're the ones who don't want to trade with Cuba, and they want to put sanctions on anybody who blinks their eye at them. And yet the opposite is what we believe in. We believe Nixon did the right thing by opening up trade doors with China, because that is when we quit killing each other, and that we are more at peace with them, because we better be, because they have become our banker. So non-intervention is quite a bit different. It's what the founders advised, to get along with people, trade with people, and to practice diplomacy, rather than having this militancy of telling people what to do and how to run the world and building walls around our own country. That is isolationism. It's a far cry from what we believe.